of the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs. So good morning, everyone. We'll continue to read from Ajahn Mun's biography. This one is titled A Strange Incident, or begins with a strange incident. He says, a strange incident occurred while he was living among the Monsieur people deep in the mountains near Ikao village. A group of Devas from Germany came to visit him. They wished to hear a discourse that would give them a victory formula. Focusing his citta on their request, an appropriate Dhamma verse arose. Akodena jine kodam. It means conquer anger with lack of anger. Ajahn Mun elaborated on this theme with the assembled Devas. Conquer anger with lack of anger. Remember this. For anyone hoping to achieve victory, this is the most important Dhamma practice. Consider it well. It is the main source of peace and happiness in the world. Love and kindness, these are an effective deterrence against an evil such as anger. By helping to reduce anger's power to destroy human and Devic societies alike, loving kindness fosters peace and prosperity everywhere. Thus, this loving attitude is the prerequisite for social harmony, one we should all strive to develop. In a world lacking this victory formula, dissatisfaction and unrest will arise at the very least. At the extreme, the world will be consumed by moral strife. Think war, right? Anger and resentment can never defeat our enemies, for they are evils that succeed only in indiscriminately destroying us and everyone close to us. The more anger is used, the more the world we live in becomes a sea of flames, burning uncontrollably towards total annihilation. Anger is actually a type of fire that's inherent in the nature of this world. Although it has no physical properties, it does succeed in creating havoc in its wake. So anyone desiring a stable, sensible world, a place worth living in, should realize the disastrous harm that the fires of anger and resentment can cause, and refrain from ever using them. Starting a fire like this merely causes oneself and everyone else to suffer. Mutual feelings of affection and loving kindness among living beings maintain the world in its proper equilibrium. Oppressive forces of unrestrained anger and selfish pride should never be allowed to run rampant, causing a never-ending cycle of destruction. With his acute wisdom, the Lord Buddha realized the indisputable harm caused by anger. He saw that the value of loving kindness as a gentle force that can spontaneously join all living beings in a sense of mutual harmony and goodwill. For all share a common desire for happiness and a common dislike for pain. For this reason, he taught that love and kindness were powerful means of maintaining peace and security in the world. So long as living beings still have loving kindness in their hearts, there's every chance that their desire for happiness will be fulfilled. But should their hearts become estranged from thoughts of loving kindness, then even with all the material comforts, their lives will still be devoid of genuine peace and happiness. Angry, hateful people tend to encounter only trouble, feeling resentful and annoyed wherever they go. Once we know with certainty that Dhamma is something truly beneficial to us, we can clearly see that a heart full of brutality is like a blazing fire, gradually destroying everything in its path. We must then urgently strive to overcome these dangers as best we can. You may never again get such a good opportunity, so take advantage of it now and avoid regrets in the future. The world is in a constant state of change, and that changing world is situated right here in the bodies and minds of all. So that was Acharya Mun's talk for them. Then Acharya Mahabua continues. Such was the essence of the victory formula that Acharya Mun gave the Devas from Germany. As soon as Acharya Mun finished speaking, they gave a thunderous sadhu, which means good indeed, sansai, right, in unison that echoed throughout the world systems. Acharya Mun asked how they knew where he was staying, since in human terms they lived so far away. They replied that they always knew precisely where he was staying. More than that, Devas from Thailand regularly visit the Devas of Germany. In truth, Devas don't consider the distance between countries like Thailand and Germany to be very great, the way humans do. They simply think of it as an area through which they can easily and naturally pass back and forth. Whereas humans travel by foot or by vehicle, Devas transport themselves by means of a supernormal power that's equivalent to transferring consciousness to a particular destination. It arrives there instantly. So Devas can move around much more easily than human beings. Acharya Mun said that the Devas from Germany regularly came to listen to his Dhamma talks, much in the same way that terrestrial Devas came from all over Thailand to hear him. Both celestial and terrestrial Devas tended to show their respect for him in a similar fashion. If Acharya Mun was living with a group of monks, Devas who came to see him never passed through the area where the monks had their living quarters. Besides that, they tended to arrive very late at night, when all the monks were asleep. Upon arrival, they circumambulated Acharya Mun clockwise 3 times in a calm, composed manner. When they departed, again circumambulating him clockwise 3 times, they first withdrew to a respectful distance. When they reached the edge of his living area, they simply floated into the air like puffs of cotton. All types of Devas demonstrated their respect for him in this fashion. So reading this passage, I'm reminded of I don't know if it's a phrase, but a saying that Jingwei and myself like to say, is Metta always wins, or you never lose with Metta, which is actually what Acharya Mun was essentially teaching these Devas, saying, if you really want, you could say, a secret spell for victory wherever you go, then actually abide in loving kindness. Never let anger take us over. Right? If we get into a fight with somebody else and we want victory, it's not see if we can get a bigger weapon. maybe we can blow them to smithereens. It's can we go to the heart of loving kindness and not respond with anger. Sometimes we might need to respond with equanimity, a kind of cool strength, but still coming from deep care. And I was thinking of one story that also just came up recently. I think some of the men in the car, when we were driving back from Vihara, were present and could see. So we were driving back, through the roads, in the windy roads of Highway 9. And it's quite, how to say it this way, the road is quite secluded. It's kind of like a one lane, it's two lanes, one way going one way, one going the other way. And oftentimes many cars go there. I think there's not very much police enforcement, so people drive quite quickly. And so for us, we have a minivan, and so we just drive at pretty much at the speed limit. And any of the recommended speed limits, we do that, or just a tiny bit slower just to be safe. Because it's, if you go off the road, you can actually fall, hundreds of feet. So we want to be very safe. And so oftentimes cars would get behind us and we would get off the road a little bit so that the cars go past. And the tradition in that area is when you pass a car, because they gave you space, you would hit your emergency lights and you blink your lights a few times to say thank you. So that's usually the practice, right? We're driving and then somebody comes behind and we try to find a good place, safe place to kind of come off the road, and then they go past. So this time we take turns driving just to help with people's energy levels. So I was driving the car, and everyone was reciting the Great Compassion Mantra together. And I've been using Jing Weisher's method of driving, which is you just kind of relax into the driving, kind of like meditation. So you ground yourself in the body, relax, and just kind of, you say, enjoy the ride, setting care for everyone in the car and for everyone around us. And then as a group, we always said the Great Compassion Mantra. So very wonderful. It's like a Dharma session on wheels. And so this time we're driving down, and then there's a space which is fairly steep going down and a lot of windy turns. And I noticed a car was behind me who wanted to get ahead. And because the road was quite windy and we're going down, there wasn't really a kind of a safe place to pull off. So I was just kind of following the road down. I could see the person was getting impatient, so he took on his blinkers, wanting to pass. And I'm thinking, okay, when I see the next place, there's a safe pull-off, I'll pull off. And so we were going around this big turn, and this one had a little bit of opening on the side, but it's a turn steep downhill. So it's not really a safe place to pull off, because then you're on a steep downhill and people are turning around. So I'm going on the turn, and the car behind me basically hits its acceleration and just flies past. A little bit dangerous, but flies past, and does something that's not very appropriate in terms of respectfulness in with his symbolism. I say that, and it's like, interesting. And you could say there's a certain amount of probably frustration, impatience, maybe even anger in the person's heart. And we were, reciting, and afterwards, we were reflecting on it. And I was struck, I didn't really feel any kind of irritation in my heart. And Jing Weisher started immediately using NVC, kind of smiling, saying, and that person probably felt some frustration because they maybe valued speed. Want to arrive quickly to their destination. Says, yeah, there's a wish, hopefully they arrive safely. But there's a sense that, we have different options of how do we want to respond to the world around us. And sometimes the world is insulting, you could say, right? It does things that maybe can be interpreted as painful, as inappropriate. And one response could be actually anger, wishing harm to the other people. I wish they really get in an accident or something, or they really learn their lesson and I'm going to do something, right? That's one response. But when we respond with loving kindness, what we find is we never lose, because we actually can just maintain this heart of peace and happiness. And I think it's over time that these people who have maybe these kind of tendencies of irritation, frustration, anger, that they actually really feel the care for them, that over time their frustration and anger can dissipate. It's not immediate, but as Ajahn Mun tells these devas, this is the true way to victory. Okay, so maybe today, I hope everyone can have your own victory formula. Abide in loving kindness for today. And if you want to, we also have the 4 Fearless Hearts Pod. So you can do it for the whole week if you wish. You can sign up by finding a link at our Berkeley Monastery website. Otherwise, let's do 3 steps, 1 bow. Also today, we won't be having our afternoon recitation. We have Reverend Hung Sher's lecture at 12:30. And tomorrow, we won't be having our morning sharing because we'll be traveling down the River Vihara. And on Sunday, we'll have the Great Compassion Mantra, Dedication of Merit. Okay, Amitofo.